Sorry.
Raphael.
I mean, honestly.
We can do this.
Come on, Raphael. Keep it down.
Hey, what's going on? We're back here with Fireman Three Houses, our Verdant Wind Assassin's Only run, where we just had a super long paralogue that ultimately ended in triumph and was very fun, I think. And we've got a whole bunch of paralogues to listen to now. We've got a bunch of ones with Lorenz, I think, so... Manuel and Lorenz, let's hear it.
Lorenz, do you have a moment to spare, my dear?
Hello, Professor Manuela. I trust all is well with you.
I am quite well, thank you for asking. You are always such a gentleman.
Thank you for saying so. How may I be of service?
I was wondering if we might spend a little time together. Maybe chat a bit?
Certainly. It is an honor to speak with someone as elegant as yourself. I've just made tea. Would you like a cup?
Hey.
Oh, that would be just lovely. Lorenz, I hope you won't think it too forward of me, but I was wondering if you could explain a poem to me. It goes like this. Verdant rains soothe my aching heart like a cherished friend. Amid time's flow I mourn, bonds I'm not sure I can ever rend. As my mind clings to desperate thoughts, here it comes, horsebow moon and summer's end.
Oh, that's my poem.
As I suspected, I've checked absolutely everyone's handwriting. It's a sad poem, though, isn't it? Feels lonely, possibly even, dare I say, defeated. What makes you feel that way, Lorenz? Why aren't you happy? I very much want to know.
Well, I suppose Wait, why are you reading my poetry? Where did you even get that?
I found it, and when I saw the words, I read them.
I found
That's
it.
what people do when they see words. They read them.
Kindly return that at once. Reading someone else's work without permission, what an egregious breach of etiquette. Honestly.
Oh, dear. Snatching at something someone else is holding. How violent. It's not like you to lose your composure, Lorenz.
Please, just forget you ever saw it. I beg you.
I'm afraid I could never forget that peek into the darkness of your soul. Nor would I want to.
Then at the very least, would you kindly promise not to mention it to anyone else?
Don't feel embarrassed. No. Be proud. It's a lovely piece of writing. Quite revealing. I'd never guess you'd have such hidden depths. Tell me more.
That's quite enough.
Oh, that's absolutely adorable. So bashful. I simply must hear more of his poetry sometime soon.
Well, that was weird. I'm not sure I've ever seen that one. What, the heck? At first, that's not where I thought she was going at all. I thought she was doing, like, that thing that people do in rom-coms where they're like, I'm gonna pretend to not know what this thing is about so that someone else, I can have the person I like explain it to me, and it can be a flirty thing. But nope, she was just like, oh, I knew it was her handwriting. She just kind of was interested in it and genuinely wanted to know what kind of headspace he was in when he wrote it, I guess? Or I guess she was worried about his mental state at that point. But she just couldn't help but make fun of him because he's Lorenz. Certainly very unusual. But fun nonetheless. We got Seth and Catherine. Let's do it.
How are you, Catherine? You look well enough.
You look well
yes,
enough.
I'm fine. Never better.
That is good. I cannot help but be concerned, given your tendency toward incautious behavior.
I should probably have guessed that this would have something to do with chastising Catherine for being a rabble-rouser.
While boldness can be virtue, I do hope you will bear in mind that recklessness is not. A moment's negligence can lead to a mortal wound for even the most skilled fighter.
You worry too much. If they saw me in action, the wounds themselves would cower.
That is
What?
precisely the attitude that worries me, especially given your history. You have been gravely injured before, as you no doubt recall.
When she was a student.
Me.
That's what you're referring to.
Gravely injured? When did that happen?
You mean you have forgotten? It was during your days as a student at the Officers' Academy.
Yeah, but to be fair, the students are put in like the most dangerous situations this country can offer.
There was an excursion, a monster hunt. You charged ahead and left your fellow students behind.
Okay, to be fair, that sounds like it was her
You
fault.
ended up alone and surrounded. You almost died. Do you truly not remember?
Are you sure? All I remember is cutting down monsters left and right.
That is true enough, but you nearly bled to death in the aftermath. The Archbishop was so concerned for your life that she tended your wounds personally.
Did she tell us that in our support with her, maybe?
Oh,
I know we heard of it.
That was when that happened. Finally.
Oh, she
Got
actually
things
forgot.
together.
I thought she was just
Lady Rhea looking
messing with
after
him.
me. Now that I remember clearly. That was the first time she ever spoke to me. I was lying on the ground, caked in mud, and she gently picked me up, even stroked my hair. The emotions were so overpowering that they must have just cleared away my memory of the whole incident.
Oh, man.
So it was during the monster hunt. Thanks, Sedith. That's been bothering me for ages.
That is not quite why I brought it up.
Come to think of it, Lady Rhea hasn't healed me since then.
Yeah, well, there's sort of the matter of her having been kidnapped.
We've got to find Lady Rhea, and then maybe someday she'll honor me like that again.
Poor Sedith. That didn't go anywhere near how we wanted to go. Oh, man, I have to see the rest of those. Absolutely. Balthus and Lysithea. Let's hear it.
Little Lysithea. These ears miss nothing, you know.
What are you on about this time?
Is it true that Count Ordelia plans to relinquish his title eventually?
Yes, but why are you asking?
I approve, that's all. Throwing off the shackles of nobility to live freely? It's a beautiful thing.
I would ask that you refrain from painting them with the same brushstrokes that you so liberally paint yourself with. My mother and father will carry on with all the associated duties befitting of nobles. Only after that will they retire.
Got it. And that's completely different from someone like me who tapped out of the nobility game, right? Your parents are exemplary nobles, that's for sure. I respect that you support them as much as you do.
Would you just stop? You're embarrassing me.
Can't be helped. Meant every word. If anyone should have red cheeks, it's me, given the choices I've made.
I'm sure you had your reasons.
Of course. Still, it is a bit cowardly of me not to stand up to my family a bit more. Honestly,
Stand up to them.
it's since getting to know you that I've started thinking along those lines. One day soon I'll return to that house. My reception will be chilly
Oh.
at best. Still, it must be done. My house is full of lowlifes.
See.
But it also has my little bro, who took over when I left. He's good people, even with the difficulties in Leicester. Our house is still going strong. That's his doing. That's why I've decided that it's time to talk to him about what can be done to help Count Ordelia.
Repaying your perceived debt would be nice, sure. But it sounds like you intend to foist your responsibility onto your little brother.
Ah, but the two aren't related. This is just the right thing to do. I'm still pondering how best to fulfill my vow.
It sounds like they're related.
Uh-huh.
Wow. You don't believe me, do you, little lady?
I'm skeptical myself.
Just what exactly are you planning on in terms of this repayment?
After your family relinquishes their noble titles, I'll support them so that you can all live in peace.
Even though you're a lowlife?
That may be true, and it is, but consider this. I've seen life from both sides, as a noble and a vagabond.
Clever.
If the
Clever.
situation changes, they'll face new challenges. I'm the perfect guy to help them through.
You'll teach them how to make college student tomato soup, which is ketchup and water.
You're irresponsible and unreliable. But clearly, you're not a bad person, and your support would be most appreciated. Just so you're aware, however, we have no means with which to pay you. So, are you sure you're still willing to follow through with this?
I think what he's saying is he'll support you with money. It's kind of the sense I
wasn't
got.
planning on doing this for a payout, but if you really insisted on a thank you gift, well, you could always accept me into your family. Then paying me wouldn't be a consideration.
Excuse me? Just what are you insinuating?
Don't think too hard about it just yet. I still have lots of debts to pay and affairs to settle. In the meantime, let's just stick close together. Yeah?
Sweet. Very sweet. Like, obviously, he was hinting at marriage there, but, like, it would be so funny if what he meant was just, like, as repayment, can I, like, crash on your couch if Elbert kicks me out, like, as Albert? Lorenz and Mercedes up to B. Merci, you had a trying few
I
days.
insist that you take up a position behind me on the battlefield. I must protect the common folk, and you have been in danger rather frequently of late.
I appreciate your concern.
Yeah,
but I
no
can
joke.
take care of myself. Everything is about nobility and common folk with you, Lorenz. It's tiresome.
Tiresome? I am only fulfilling my duty.
Is that to say you would have left me lying on the floor in pain had it not been your duty to assist?
You mean when you were hurt on my account? I still would have assisted you, as any commoner would have. It is simply a matter of perspective. And if I were common-born, I would not have simply let you leave without... Never mind. Forgive me.
Excuse me? Are you implying that you would have taken advantage of me if you were lowborn?
What? No! And I am no longer interested in the hypothetical nature of this conversation.
Oh, Lorenz, you'll never change.
What do you mean?
I find myself growing irritated just looking at you.
Is that so? I fail to see exactly how I am so irritating.
Well, buddy, we haven't enough time before Grunderfield, I'm afraid, to explain.
You claim that you don't want to be involved with common women, don't you? But I know deep in your heart you love being around us. You're willfully ignorant to that. I hope you know what you're depriving yourself of.
I am certain I've told you before that my marriage must be beneficial to House Gloucester. I've not the time for fruitless courtship.
Fruitless? Ah, how can you say such things? What would happen if you fell in love with a commoner?
It
Nothing
wouldn't
at all.
happen.
I accept the role that I must play, and any sacrifice that must accompany it.
Damn, that was a much better response than I was expecting from him. Sorry.
So, your duty as a noble is more important than your own feelings.
Naturally.
If that's true, then your whole existence is rather sad.
I am afraid you misunderstand. This is my choice. There is no cause for pity.
No. I accept the role that I must play, not that I chose to play. Doesn't sound like what you were saying a moment ago.
I've heard enough. I have to go.
Oh god, that's one of Mercedes's best lines. I feel myself growing irritated just looking at you. Poor Lorenz, though. But what the hell was he insinuating in the middle there? I wouldn't have just let you go if I was common. Catherine and Ingrid.
Good work. Should we call it a day?
Thank you. Yes, let's. Catherine, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you something.
Let me guess. You're going to ask why you're so bad at predicting my attacks.
When I expect an attack from above, you surprise me from below. When I expect a jab, I get a sweep. You seem to anticipate my anticipation.
It's probably because you're a straightforward, honest person.
You gotta be crooked, like me.
Movements and trying to calculate what I'll do next.
That has always seemed the most sound strategy when engaging in combat, yes.
Right. Well, I take that anticipation and turn it against you. I use my eyes and the tilt of my sword to mislead you. Catching your opponent off guard is the trick to staying alive in combat. You've got to keep yourself alive if you want to protect Lady Rhea, right?
Your dedication to Lady Rhea's safety is truly inspiring, Catherine.
You flatter me.
My dream is to become a knight and protect my king, no matter the cost.
Well,
There is no greater purpose I can serve.
see, the thing about that.
Although your fealty is sworn to Lady Rhea, you are the ideal knight I aspire to be.
Admire me to your heart's content, but
Catherine, I'd be honored if you would make me your squire.
My what now? Oh, you're far too straight-laced to be my squire.
However you might judge me, I'm quite serious about this.
All right then, why not? Let's start by teaching you how to flirt with handsome men.
Pardon me? That can't possibly be where you want to start.
Nah, I was
Sure,
just
she said that
kidding.
just to mess with you.
I wish I knew how to flirt with handsome men. Instead, let's teach you to lighten up.
Ah, understood.
By flirting with handsome men. That's fun. I don't think I've ever seen that one. Those two in the room together. Man, if Leone was in that room as well, that would just be like the jockiest. Those three and then Dimitri in one room together. That would be just such intense jock energy that it would like solidify and like you start seeing pure distilled jock clumps falling to the ground all over the room. Congealing in the air. Ash and Caspar, why can they have their support but not Marianne?
Hey Ash, what's with all the noise? Did something happen?
I only just heard myself. Looks like a thief got into the pantry and made off with some of our food supply.
Oh, because Ash and Marianne's sea support needs her to have her hair over her eyes for the joke to work, right?
Stealing from a monastery? What kind of monster would do such a thing? Come on, we gotta get that dirty thief.
Definitely. I'm sure we can capture the culprit if we work together.
Capture? What are you talking about? Why bother? This is the kind of person who would steal from a monastery. We gotta take this guy out as soon as we see him. How do you expect to get rid of the evil in this world if that's how you're gonna treat it?
What? I should be the one asking you that. The first thing we need to do once we've caught this person is hear what they have to say. They might have been forced into a life of theft by some awful circumstances.
And then we can go start getting to the root of those circumstances.
You really don't get it, do you? If you let people get away with stuff like this, it's only gonna get worse.
If you catch them, they didn't get away with it.
If we're gonna uphold justice, then we gotta stop evil. Simple as that.
I'm all for the rule of law, but indiscriminate slaughter isn't going to solve anything. You can't just execute someone on a wild assumption and call it justice.
And you can't just hide behind your fancy words. You have to take action. You know what? Forget it. There's no point in arguing this with you. We're gonna have to fight this one out. Whoever wins gets to make the plan. Got it?
This is a huge waste of time. The thief is getting away.
What? How is fighting supposed to decide who's wrong and who's right? We're not barbarians, are we? Just take it easy and we can talk this over.
We don't have time to take it easy. The thief is getting away, and all you want to do is talk and...
Hey, did you hear? Apparently they caught the thief who stole the food. All's well that ends well, right?
Oh, come on! You hear that? You just cost me my chance.
Hey, if they've already been caught, let's just leave it at that.
Poor Ash. I do love that support chain. They just are very kind of opposite energy kind of people, aren't they? As evidenced by Caspar rushing like 8 squares in the first 3 seconds of that mission to get to Mercedes and the Death Knight. Lorenz and Dorothea, we had a bit of this earlier, and it was prickly to say the least.
Today, Dorothea.
Oh, save it for your noble girls, Lorenz. I'm not in the mood.
I was only being polite.
That's
It
worse.
really was quite wonderful to be so near your elegance. Now, if you'll please excuse me.
Now hold just a moment. I have tolerated quite enough of this impertinence.
Oh man.
Not a word has escaped my lips to imply that you are anything less than a highly attractive woman.
You just said I was only being polite.
But I am the heir to a noble house. I have a duty. Thus, I am unable to engage in courtship with you. What is it about my circumstances that you seem to find so very amusing?
All of it? You're no different from the men who flirted with me when I was in the opera. As long as you're getting what you're after, you don't much care what a woman wants, needs, or feels.
That is truly what you think of me? I am afraid you have completely misunderstood.
Oh, have I? Do explain.
If noble status were my only priority, then I could be married 100 times over by now.
You sure?
But birthright is not sufficient for me. I am not looking merely for an accessory. Marriage is a relationship of mutual respect, support, and trust.
Yeah.
If my wife and I are of the same mind and of the same worth, then together we can achieve anything.
Oh. So she's not of the same worth as you. Is that what you're getting
That is
at?
why I make overtures to so many ladies. I am in search of an ideal.
You're searching for someone who matches your vision of a perfect spouse? How odd. So am I. And everyone else.
My standards are somewhat more exacting, but yes, I suppose on that point we are similar. Please understand that I'm acting with the best of intentions in search of a partner.
You're more serious than I thought. And so earnest, it's almost adorable. If you met a peasant girl and fell madly in love, would you be able to give her up? Break her heart?
I would have no choice. The worlds of the nobility and the common folk are simply too far apart.
I would have no choice. What he just said to Mercedes was something completely different. He said it was my choice.
I cannot choose to abandon my duty merely for the sake of a fleeting emotion.
Lawrence, you're dangerously close to dedicating your life to the lie that nobility is something special. I hope you realize that before it's too late.
An interesting one. It is always weird, but Lorenz is definitely one of those characters where you see his support with one of them, and it's like, oh, he's changed. Then you see his support with someone else, and it's like, that's weird. I thought he just got over that. Because they're meant to all sort of be growing in parallel. I don't think I ever did build that one up that far. It's sort of about a similar thing to Mercedes, isn't it? Because they both in that B support with him just then got to the heart of that he, even if he wanted to, he thinks he couldn't. When of course he already said with Leonie that it didn't matter, but never mind that. Claude and Flame.
As expected, I am not finding anything at all.
Well, here's your problem. You're not looking in the Shadow Library.
Are you looking for something in particular?
Oh, I was just hoping for general reading that might illustrate the lives of city dwellers.
Well, there should be regional records somewhere around here.
I haven't need of official records or anything of the like. Just some light reading on the subject.
Light reading? What do you mean by that?
Oh, you know, books that cover things like what types of activities young people enjoy, how they spend their free time,
Flayn, I don't know how to tell you this, but young people don't typically say the words young people.
popular fashions and trends, things of that sort. And even, perhaps, stories about romance.
Scandalous.
Ah, I see what you're getting at. Try asking a traveling merchant. I hear they keep stock of books like that. As for here, I don't think you're gonna find much aside from a bunch of stuffy records. We do get new books donated on a fairly regular basis, but then Sedith, well, you know.
My brother? I am afraid I do not follow.
Apparently, he directly approves every book before it's allowed to grace these shelves. You know, to make sure nothing inappropriate gets through.
I see. I did not realize he had a hand in such things.
Surprises me.
Well, I suppose it really is no use searching.
But I guess it's not the first time he's gone over her head.
Why were you looking for those sorts of books anyway?
Well, truth be told, I am not particularly well versed in the ways of ordinary people. Sedith never taught me of such things, and he strictly forbade me from spending much time out and about on my own.
Yeah, I had a feeling that might be the case. Sounds like Sedith.
I understand and appreciate that he acted from a place of concern, of course.
Without a doubt. It's obvious that you're his whole world, for better or worse. By the way, I've been wondering, are you two from a noble family?
According to the class selection, yes.
You've clearly had a rather high-class upbringing, and both of you have crests. That can only mean you come from a prominent bloodline, right?
Of course not. No, you are mistaken.
So, your refined way of speaking isn't because of your upbringing?
I was not aware that my speech differed so greatly from my companions. Do I really sound so formal to you?
Well, look, don't worry too much about it. I'm probably just overthinking things. Probably.
That's really funny considering he doesn't know. I'm pretty sure I've never seen that. I'd love to see the rest of that. I should have started on that one earlier. Hilda and Caspar. Caspar and Mercy have a bunch of these supports.
God, that doesn't feel good at all. Ugh, why did he have to punch me so hard?
Hey, Caspar, something the matter?
Oh, hi, Hilda. Yeah, I just got in a little fight. No big deal. Definitely won.
Your face is all swollen. That looks painful. Come on, let's get you to the infirmary.
No, that's really too much. Like I said, I'm fine.
Don't argue, just come along. You look ghoulish.
Huh? Well, maybe it's worse than I thought. Yeah, whatever. It can't hurt to have it looked at.
Only your pride, friend.
There, that should do it. You'll be all right now.
Great. Thanks, Hilda. I had no idea you were so good at this.
I always tended to my big brother's wounds, so I have lots of experience.
Yeah, tracks.
I'm curious, though. Why are you always getting into fights? You really got hurt. Surely it would have been better not to bother.
It's not like I go looking for fights, and I'm not always the one who starts them.
Not always.
There are just a lot of guys in this world who won't listen to reason.
Like Ash, he was cruising for a bruising there when he said, I shouldn't slaughter people indiscriminately. Twerp.
Somebody's gotta beat some sense into them.
So that's why you're always picking fights. Why not ignore them, or ask someone else for help?
Maybe that's how you'd handle it, but I can't just look the other way.
How very gallant. But maybe you should try showing a little restraint.
You really think that?
Yes, I do. I don't think you can solve all your problems by throwing a few punches.
Certainly not this one that you now have.
The world's a big place. At this moment, all over Fodlan, countless people are in some kind of trouble. But they'll figure things out one way or another, even without you there. Try to hold back and see what happens. Maybe you'll be surprised. Besides, if you're always picking fights, you might get so badly injured that you can't protect me.
Now that's a good point right there. I guess I could give this whole restraint thing a shot.
I have my doubts about how long that'll last, but that's interesting. Not where I thought that support chain would go at all. I assumed Hilda would be hoodwinking him into beating people up, if I'm honest. Hapi and Balthus, 2 max. Let's hear it.
Why did you bring me here? It's so isolated.
What was their support chain about earlier? He was kind of lightly poking fun of her for not being able to sigh in C support, I think. I forget what B support was. Oh, and then the B support was he was just picking up money off the ground and shoving it in his pockets. And they had a discussion about death.
That would be the point.
Yikes. See you around, B.
Hang on a second. Out here, in a place like this, you should be free to sigh.
Yikes.
Yeah?
What do you mean by that?
I just thought I would do you well to cut loose and sigh to your
Aw.
heart's content.
Really? You found a nice quiet place where you could annoy me without putting bystanders at risk?
Why does this always happen? That's not what I meant. This is me doing something nice for you.
It's you trying,
You
anyway.
said before that you can't ever relax because you're worried about endangering others. A lot's been going on recently, so let her rip already. Sigh until you can sigh no more.
That's nice of you. A chance to relax and sigh as I please. Sounds good. But what do we do about the monsters?
I'm almost positive he's going to propose that he's just going to beat them up himself.
What do you think? A monster shows up, I punch it in the nose. Done deal.
By yourself?
I'm never alone, pal. These two fists are always by my side, and they never let me down.
Oh, right.
It doesn't have to be here if you have performance.
Conscience and morality.
But anytime you accidentally call a monster, just holler and I'll punch it to next Tuesday. In fact, maybe it's best if you just stick by my side from now on.
Wait, so we changed the names of the months to like Great Tree Moon and stuff from the normal months, but we kept the names of the days? I guess it does say that on the calendar.
Do that and you're free to sigh whenever the urge strikes.
Why would I have to stay by your side?
Not a lot of people in this world can knock out a beast without breaking a sweat. I'm one of them. And since I'm always on the run from bounty hunters, I'm an exceptionally light sleeper.
You expect me to sleep by your side too?
Ooh, this may be my best idea yet. If I'm always with a monster summoner, fewer people will come after my bounty. This is
Sense there, too.
You never change, Bee. You're so predictable. All right, have fun.
Have fun? That's an odd thing to do. Monsters, they're everywhere. This is gonna be a blast.
It's hard not to like that dummy.
I know. You're such an idiot. Those things are super dangerous. That was really, really, really sweet. I mean, at some point, we just level up our defense stats enough. You can sigh all you want. We'll just break down every monster comes after us. You'll be alright, Happy. We'll figure it out somehow. I know you'll do something that'll work. Hilda and Mercedes up to max now.
Is anything troubling you today?
Completely blanking on what happened last time they talked.
Nothing. If there was, I don't think I'd ask for
Oh,
your help.
right. The greenhouse.
I'm sorry to hear that. Have I done something to upset you?
Not exactly. You go overboard helping me is all.
It's never occurred to me before, but the earring game of people at this monastery is on fire. Dorothea's earlier were awesome. Hilda's black and gold hoops are pretty dope. I love Mercedes as well.
You do way too
Claude's not
much.
to mention.
So I feel guilty, like I'm putting you out.
Goodness. It was never my intention to have you worry about me.
Oh man.
Can I ask you something?
Of course. What is it?
What are you doing today?
Following my morning prayers, I'll be cleaning the altar, then caring for the flowers in the greenhouse.
Again.
Then it's off to the library to help organize and sort, then to the dining hall to wipe down the tables and chairs. The floors could use a good polish too.
You know, just the floors in every room of the monastery.
And the weather's so nice that I might air out the bedding. After that, it's...
Wow, you're still not done? There's more?
Well, the dishcloths in the dining hall are all frayed, so I was hoping to mend them.
Sewing? Don't you think that's too much?
Whatever do you mean? And why are you speaking so loudly all of a sudden?
I'll help with the dining hall, but I am not sewing.
You want to help? That would be delightful.
Everyone asks you for help, and you always say yes, don't you?
I suppose. I believe it's important to help where you can. If you see someone in trouble, you can't leave them, can you?
You're too kind, Mercedes. Literally, I can't empathize.
I'm sure you can. You and I are very similar in that way.
Are you serious? How? We have nothing in common.
That may be so, but you thought I was in trouble, and you agreed to help, didn't you?
Well, I mean, yes.
That's exactly what I do. I'm so happy to have found a kindred spirit.
If that's what makes you happy, okay. Kindred spirits. Let's go with that.
Now that I've got you at my side, I can take on even more responsibilities.
Not a chance.
I mean, hide it as much as she will. Hilda's always does seem to end up trying to help one way or the other. Especially the people who she's hoodwinking the hardest early on, like Ignatz and Mercedes. And finally, Hapi and Linhardt up to B. Very curious where this ends up. We did a lot of fighting in that last paralogue, which is probably partially why we're getting a bunch of these.
That was some good sleep. How nice it is to enjoy the sunrise all by my...
Good. You're finally awake.
Ah! Who's that? Oh no, I'm falling. Oh no, I'm emoting! Calm.
Wait! No! That hurt.
Yeah, well, why did you shout at someone who just woke up from a tree? Also, is it just me, or did she... Well, she yawned when she woke up. I guess that doesn't count.
You're telling me? Do you normally start your day by startling people out of trees?
What the hell, Linhardt? Genius scientific mind couldn't predict that one?
Normally, no. Sorry, but I couldn't wait.
Couldn't wait? It's so early. You must have stayed up all night.
Huh, I suppose I did. How unusual. That's what happens when you get carried away with research.
Wait, how would you know he was
Then
awake?
I remembered what we talked about, so I've been waiting here for you to wake up.
Oh no!
Well, here I am, wide awake. How can I help you?
I found an interesting document about Saint Timotheus. There are some fascinating things down in that place you and your buddies call home.
How does he know? I guess he had a chance to sample her blood or something at some point to find out she has that crest.
Timotheus? That's...
The saint whose major crest you bear. His bloodline was believed to have died out 1,000 years ago. It's theorized that your crest and the crest of Lamine have similar powers. Oh, Lamine was one of the 10 elites. Here's the best part. Turns out this Timotheus guy had the power to summon beasts.
I'm listening.
Take a look at this passage. The writing's kind of antiquated, but at least it's legible.
Saint Timotheus could converse fluently with birds and land-born beasts, and he considered these creatures his friends. He sometimes rode over hills atop an obliging deer, or called wolves to encircle him in battle. His sigh, inflected with the power of the Nightbringer's star, was immensely sonorous.
Oh, Nightbringer's star. Now that's a bit we haven't heard
Nice
before, is it?
reputation. So, there you go.
That's just how people from my village write.
Is that so? Huh. Anyway, this obviously reminded me of you and your situation. You clearly have this same astral power, but to an excessive degree. And for some reason, it only manifests for you when you sigh.
Does that mean you can fix it?
Oh goodness, no. Or I should say, it's unlikely. There's next to no documentation about this stuff, and I don't know nearly enough about the other crests either. And Timotheus, again, nothing to go on. It's near impossible to unravel, so don't get your hopes up.
You know me. I'm good at keeping my expectations nice and low.
Oh. But again, an interesting one. I would not have guessed that Timotheus... I assumed that curse had nothing got to do with her crest or bloodline. I assumed it was another experiment that was done on her as a child, to be honest with you. Very curious indeed. Their ending together probably ends with them together researching a way to fix it, doesn't it? Yeah. Maybe Hapi's ending does as well. Maybe he, devotes some of the church's resources to researching it. I don't know. I hope it's not worse than her ending with Linhardt, because if that were the case, it would be the right thing to do, to let them end up together. If I loved her, I would have to let her go. So I'm gonna hope that that's not true. And that her ending with Hapi will be totally lovely and nice. But there you go, that was our support theater. Next episode, we'll be heading, of this game, we'll be heading to Gronder Field. I don't much know what to think about that in terms of how difficult I imagine it will be. I don't have any guesses. It's not usually the absolute hardest mission, because again, it is triple faction, so some of the enemies are going to take each other out. I got nothing more to say about that. Next video on the channel is going to be some more Ace Attorney Spirit of Justice, and that is all from me. A quirky assortment of supports we had this time, but enjoyable to be sure. Thank you so very much for coming around. Hopefully I will see you around. Admiral's going to be out of here now. Peace! Intruders alert. Wait, so if they lock down the doors because of the underworld intruders, then why don't they lock them down because of me? By the way, who's the ones who have to think back into this one? Yeah! Do that. Well, also trying to take you out. Alright, that's gonna be difficult at 9. Just trying to balance these things. But they also, thankfully, at least on 5, these